It is so important that the royal family swiftly slap away any faux olive branches coming from Montecito. Hey everybody, I'm Beebs Kelley. Welcome back to another video. The Sussex PR campaign right now, currently, is that they are ready to mend the rift, heal the feud, lay down their arms, and extend olive branches to the royal family. While Harry now feels irrelevant and is upset that his family is acting like he doesn't exist, Camp Sussex is also fixated on rift healing and olive branching. Some headlines claim that Harry is refusing to be cast aside. I'm sorry, can you explain how somebody could be cast aside after they choose to leave? If you leave a job, if you leave a country, you're not being cast aside. You left. You did the leaving. So I don't see the royal family as casting Harry aside at all. But the rumor has it that in previous years, they were extended a save the date or like a little invitation of sorts to be notified that they were welcome to come to certain events, and that has really dried up. This year, it's just not happening. Now, there could be a lot of practical reasons for this. The King and Princess Catherine are undergoing cancer treatment this year, and so having somebody fly internationally over to the UK and spread germs isn't necessarily ideal. That's one angle. Also, Harry and Meghan make everything difficult. They need all these special circumstances followed and all this extra security and all this and that. And they're so picky about everything and make a big stink about every single little detail. But they also don't want to just do it themselves. You know, I'm high maintenance sometimes in certain ways, according to some. Not in every way, but in some ways. I can relate to maybe having certain things, if you're traveling, needing to be a certain way. I can understand that. Sometimes it's reasonable. That self-awareness needs to also be paired with self-responsibility for it. My point is, if Harry and Meghan have a lot of extra conditions that need to be met for them to travel anywhere or attend anything, then they need to be taking care of that stuff themselves. Harry and Meghan need to be handling all that themselves and just make themselves available for stuff. But it doesn't seem like that's the path Harry ever takes, because anytime he travels to the UK lately, it's this big hullabaloo that the palace and the king haven't done enough for him. They're not giving him the security he wants. He's not getting to stay in the palace he wants. He's not getting the room he wants. He's not getting the cars he needs. He wants the whole 7-car convoy with police escorts, and he doesn't need it, and he's not getting it. He wants to see them at a certain time frame on his schedule rather than making time to see them on their schedule. All of these things are needs or wants that really Harry should be handling for himself and leaving his family out of it. But instead, we always hear about how much Harry expects the palace and the staff and the government and his family to bend over backwards to accommodate his overblown, overinflated idea of what he needs when he goes over to the UK. But back to his invitations and lack thereof. There's practical reasons why perhaps they've stopped sending the invites out. For example, when Harry and Meghan first left, there were certain things that were left as like open invitations, but because of COVID, you know, they weren't coming back, traveling back to the UK or anything like that. And then, of course, they sort of blew up all their bridges and made it clear that they were being not nice, and people didn't really want them around. Harry and Meghan cause way more stress than they're worth to their family, to the UK, to the monarchy, and all of the staff. Why would they want to extend an invitation if it's going to just come back with this big list of demands that are completely unreasonable? Regardless, other headlines say that he's planning a UK trip to heal royal family relations after feeling cast aside, that he's been snubbed 3 times by the royal family in recent weeks and is now said to be heartbroken at the way he's been cast aside by his relatives and is going to face them whether they like it or not. Wow. Harry and Meghan were bound to notice eventually that literally nobody cares what they have been up to anymore. Really, the only reason why people talk about them is to criticize how absurdly foolish they look. It's really baffling how bad they've gotten in terms of their public image. People are somewhat fascinated at this really slow self-destruction we've witnessed from the Sussexes over the years. But it's also annoying that at this point, they've decided mending things is their new angle. But it's also in line with many toxic types. This is a tactic that people who are more difficult or more toxic tend to do. They pitch a big, huge fit, they give it a little bit of time, and then they want to come back and pretend like everything is fine. They want to pretend like they're the bigger person. They want to pretend like things are back to normal immediately. They want to play the gracious peacemaker. And in their mind, that makes them come out the other side looking squeaky clean, even if they didn't get their way. This cannot be allowed. I'm really not sure what Harry thinks he would accomplish by rushing back to the UK at this point. His family does not and cannot trust him. He's been proven to leak everything, lie, and be manipulative. Quite simply, even if everyone in the royal family were in perfect health right now, Harry is a threat to their peace. He's a disruption to their work. And given that 2 members at this time are undergoing cancer treatment means that they should be even farther away from stresses like these. In this scenario, Harry is still coming from a selfish place. He is not thinking, wow, my family is in a difficult place right now, and I want to help ease any stress and pain that they have. I want to come to them, apologize for what I've done that's hurt them. I want to make sure there is peace between us all and that they know in the future I will be here to help rebuild this relationship and make things right again and make things better. I want to support them in any way I can. I want them to know how much I love them and care about them and how much they mean to me. I want to just be supportive. No, that is not what this is. At all. On the contrary, Harry and Meghan are thinking, wow, my family is just getting on with things without me. Despite these health challenges, they haven't asked for my help. Despite me leaving and having all these tantrums and trying to tear them down and talk bad about them and have Omid Scobie publish their names in a book and blah, 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 blah. Despite me doing all of this, they're still just getting on with things? They're still just having Trooping the Color? They're still just doing their work and having their events and getting together with each other and happy with each other. They're just going on with their business. And the Sussexes are viewing this thinking, not only are the royal family ignoring us, but they've turned the public against Meg. And because they're ill now, it makes us look even worse. Because the royal family are having these challenges that have caused an immense outpouring of compassion and support and love for the monarchy, for King Charles, for Princess Catherine, with all that on top of it, it's especially making the Sussexes look bad. So they've come to a point where they realize there is no fighting this. The Sussexes have realized their only play now is to try to make amends. Harry also probably realizes he has a better chance of weaseling in under King Charles. This commentator asked, what could be done to rectify this situation? What could everyone do that mend these relationships? Is everything too far gone to be helped or forgiven? The only thing that Harry and Meghan could do at this point to take a step in the right direction for their familial relationships, but also with public opinion, is to issue a lengthy apology for misconstruing their personal family matters, for misrepresenting people, for lying and allowing lies to be published, for discussing matters that should be private in a public domain, as that robs the other party of their privacy, and so on. It would need to be quite detailed and finish with working to earn back the trust of the family, the monarchy, and the people. Prince Harry would need to match his actions to that statement very carefully. And he would need to actually make efforts to mend his relationships with his family members in the UK. His ongoing tantrums about security are not helping things, so dropping that would also help. But I don't think he and the Meg are capable of that. My personal opinion is that they would feel very much like that would prove far too many people right. which people really high in narcissism, that's the main driver for certain things. They won't put up with a situation that's difficult or not great for them in every way unless, like, the one exception is they will put up with a bad situation just so that they don't prove someone else right, to try to prove themselves right. They'll stay, dealing with something less than ideal that they don't want to deal with for a lot longer if it's to try to not prove someone else right, if that makes sense. And even the tedious years-long process of rebuilding that trust with the royal family members and the public and sort of trying to ease their way into some degree of good graces is something that I can't see them enduring. They're not patient enough for that. Catherine has long been identified as a calm peacemaker in the family, a big picture type of thinker, and somebody who's been talked about like she is a bit of a glue for the family and a calming force in situations and can diffuse conflicts and stuff like that. There was a viral moment of her during Prince Philip's funeral taking a step back to allow the brothers, Prince Harry and William, to talk together or to have just a moment of privacy together. And so that's just one example that has been seen by the public of her good character in trying to help out in those sorts of situations or just do the right thing in those types of situations. She's not trying to hang around to get any drama in her ear or hear some gossip or something or be involved in it or in the middle of it. She's happy to let the brothers have their privacy, to have their own private conversation in that time. So she's allegedly like that in her personal life often. And in this particular scenario, currently, she and William have good character and thus are more likely to be willing to put a stop to any true feuding or big rifts under normal circumstances. However, these are not normal circumstances. And they have full support from everyone for keeping their distance from the Sussexes. I think if Harry and Meghan had done Megxit and left, but didn't do Oprah or any of those interviews or any of that stuff, just left in a bit of a hissy fit, I think eventually Catherine and William would have forgiven them and wouldn't have cared if they came around once in a while for holidays and stuff like that and been cordial with them. I don't think they would have ever been besties, but I think that they would have been totally normal with them for special family occasions, things like Easter, summer breaks, etc. But the fact that Harry and Meghan have done all of this stuff over the last few years so publicly, been so awful, I don't think Catherine or William have any interest in engaging with these people ever again. Harry and Meghan showed their character, and it's bad. Most people agree. Also, public opinion is that they should not reconcile with Harry and Meghan. Not only Catherine and William, but King Charles, Queen Camilla. Like, nobody in the family should really be reconciling with Harry and Meghan at this point. The Sussexes need to demonstrate a change publicly before any members of the royal family should consider reopening the lines of communication. After years of trust broken and privacy violated and boundaries ignored, you can't just accept olive branches being zinged across the Atlantic. Harry and Meghan have gotten desperate, quite simply. Their Netflix shows have not been testing well, allegedly, according to rumors and gossip. Their Netflix shows are not testing well, meaning Netflix is not exactly pleased. Their other ventures haven't done well. She's run into speed bumps with American Riviera Orchard Montecito in terms of getting branding stuff done, trademarking stuff done, staff, like none of it. It's all just a mess. It's chaotic and not coming together at all. She doesn't have products ready, nothing like that. Even her attempts at Instagram marketing or, teasing has been criticized because she's doing it in a way that looks petty and competitive and silly. The whole Trooping the Color fiasco. So all of these things are not working out. They've already tried being authors. They've already tried being podcasters. They've already tried making comedic spots and charity initiatives. Like, none of it has worked out at all. Archewell is said to not be doing well. They even went delinquent on some paperwork earlier this year or fees or whatever, and are allegedly not up to date for current paperwork either, but they're still within their grace period. So there's just so much mess, so much not going right, that Harry and Meghan are getting to a point where if they don't start getting some degree of momentum, some sort of a break, then they are going to end up in a pickle. Without commercial ventures working out, not only will their egos be in turmoil for not having any degree of success, but they will also have to probably downsize their lifestyle to some extent because they won't have these income streams laid out before them. So a whole lot of this really comes down to Harry and Meghan, their public image being in tatters, etc. They're trying to salvage something. And being the peacemaker or trying to be the ones who are mending things is one way they can try to do that. They probably think that King Charles and Princess Catherine and Prince William and the people around them are in a vulnerable state where they would much rather welcome Harry and Meghan back into the fold and make nice with them and become friends again or something. They probably think that's what the royal family wants right now. So they're trying to jump at that opportunity. Rumors circulated that Harry had reached out to Catherine specifically, and Meghan apparently had too, according to this source. And during one such reaching out, whether that was a phone call, voicemail, text, email, it doesn't matter, on one occasion, Harry essentially asked Catherine to speak with William to try to soften his stance and encourage William to speak with Harry. She rejected this request. Catherine refused to get in the middle of the brothers' relationship, which is healthy. That is the right move. But how cruel and selfish of Harry to use a moment of communication with his ill family member to try to get something, to try to get her help for himself. Rude. Regardless, at this point in time, Harry and Meghan did their Nigeria trip thinking that it would A, be an opportunity to show the monarchy that they could be of use, and B, to boost their popularity by looking like they were actually doing something. Both of those things failed. Instead, their popularity has continued to sink, and the Nigeria trip has been heavily criticized ever since. It was also further squandered by the Archwell delinquency drama, accepting freebies from and being photographed with multiple known U.S. fugitives, and all the other reasons worth fair criticisms. Furthermore, following the trip, the American Riviera Orchard Montecito hit their roadblocks, and that PR stunt on Trooping the Color was wholly rejected by the public, the press, and PR experts universally, unanimously. Harry and Meghan have finally seen what's happening. Their only hope in all reality for not being voted most disliked forevermore is to actually live private lives for a while. Maybe a few years before trying any further public-facing projects, be it commercial or philanthropic. But they have seen an opportunity to take advantage instead of doing that. Meghan believes that if she can make the public think that she is behind rebuilding the relationships with the royal family and that reconciliation is something that she had a hand in, then her popularity in her mind might be saved. And Harry believes that if he can get his foot back in the door, that he will be able to be included in things again and feel important and special once more, and that he and the Meg would be less disliked. Meghan and Harry still want apologies. They still won't accept full responsibility for the feud, and they are putting out an image of desperately wanting to reconcile for their own gain. Harry and Meghan have nothing to lose by doing this. This PR angle of being the olive branch extending couple is backed up by previous statements, like when Harry said he doesn't care about an apology anymore, which allowed him to save face before he showed up to the coronation. When he found out he wouldn't be getting an apology for nothing, he released a statement that it doesn't matter to him anymore. So that at that point, despite behind closed doors still feeling wronged and being upset and still wanting an apology and feeling entitled to one, Harry and Meghan believe that their image would benefit greatly. That they can craft this narrative that it's all their idea and they're the forgiving people, the bigger people. And they want to reconcile above all else, which is so manipulative and toxic, it's gross. Because they're the ones who have been on the attack all this time. They're the ones who have violated privacy and manipulated press, lied about people and broken boundaries for years now. They are the problem. If you missed our video breaking down the rift between Harry and William, I will link it for you here or in the description box. It explains it all in great detail and shows exactly how this all came about and started getting worse as soon as Meghan came on the scene, and it's literally only been Harry and Meghan ever since. It's sadly a common occurrence when somebody toxic gets it out of their system. They look around and see that people have backed away from them. They didn't like how they behaved when they were mad. People don't like those tantrums from grown-ups. They're always surprised that people didn't take their side. So when their rage calms down a tad or they realize they need something now, then they're suddenly ready for the feud to end and are surprised that people didn't back them up. And then from that point on, minimize every single thing they did. They want to go back to normal. They don't want anybody to be upset anymore. They will continue to lie and manipulate and pretend like what they did was not that bad, or that what they did here was not as big of a deal and it was actually only this way. And they'll come up with 1,000, 1.5 million excuses for their bad behaviors. It shifts into things like when Harry claimed he never accused anyone of racism in that Bradby interview for Spare. It's that sort of a thing. They start to try to gaslight people into thinking that they aren't responsible for the fallout between their family members, or that it's not their fault all of this happened, when everybody can plainly see who it was that took action against the other parties. They want everybody to pretend like it never happened, and in this case it goes a step further by also trying to look to the public like the peacemakers. It's bonkers. And it's also super unfair to the royal family. Let's just hope that they continue to keep the Sussexes at arm's length, because while the Sussexes don't have anything to lose by doing this PR campaign, the royal family do have lots to lose. They have a lot to lose by letting Harry and Meghan try to reconcile, and they have nothing to gain either way. While Harry and Meghan have everything to gain, they could claw back some popularity, they could salvage their image, they could rebuild their reputation and get some of that royal pixie dust to sparkle up their falling star power. One party in this situation, the royal family, has absolutely nothing to gain from these headlines, nor from the possibility of a reconciliation. So it's obvious where all of this is coming from. The leaks are from Camp Sussex. Again, Harry and Meghan have all this stuff that they could gain, but even if they don't actually successfully convince the royal family to reconcile, by continuing to position themselves in the media as the ones who did want to reconnect, and olive branch and all of that, I think that they can convince the public that they're the right party. Over time, they will be able to position themselves as victims again. Like, we're trying to be nice and they won't even take our calls. They can look like they're attempting to make peace in the press, which would help their image with a select group of readers. So it's worth it for them to have this out in the press, even if it never works. So it stands to argue that all of this is just for PR and they don't actually care to reconcile. They just want these messages out there in the headlines because it makes them look a little bit better than if they weren't trying to reconcile while their family members are sick. Harry probably does care that he's been cast aside. He forgets it's by his own choice though. But I'd say that there is a case to be made that they don't actually want to reconcile at all. They are just using this to their advantage because with some members of the royal family going through health struggles, for Harry and Meghan to continue to be solely in an antagonistic space in terms of their public image is really a bad look. So perhaps because their popularity has continued to plummet, they thought, well, let's just say we want to reconcile and we'll put out press that we're trying to reconcile and throw out olive branches. And that's not true. But we can put that in the headlines. You should be trying to make nice. So I think there's a chance that this is all just one big manipulation. But what do you think? Do you think they actually want to reconcile, or do you think they're just trying to do more media games? Leave it in the comments. I cannot wait to read the discussion there. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it at least somewhat fun or interesting to watch. And I hope you have a happy day ahead. I'll see you next time. Bye.